guys for having me back in Philly.
That's right. So this is based on a true story and an adaptation of an incredibly popular, well-known French film.
A movie that most people would say, why would you remake that movie? So this was a project that was brought to us. I'd seen the original. I thought the original was magnificent. And as a producer, sometimes you say, just because someone wants to do something doesn't mean you should or can. This was a story, though, that was so beautiful, but didn't get much exposure in the United States. So the original French film, which was nominated for, the Best Academy Award for Foreign Language, I think it won that year, and did, in terms of commercial success, at least $200 million of international box office, which is just a giant hit for this movie. In relative comparison, it probably did about $12 million at the US box office. The studio that had it for the US distribution rights put it out in some specialty art theaters, but it just never caught on. Some people saw it, some people didn't. But it was a story that needed to be told to a larger audience, and we felt the only way to really do that would be to remake it with, at this time, two actors that had the clout to get that movie made and tell that story. It's not a traditional Hollywood blockbuster by any accounts these days. These are movies that don't get made that much anymore. I'm really proud of it. I just watched it again. I haven't seen it since Toronto. So last time I saw this movie was at the Toronto Film Festival. The cuts changed. We're still in process. I mean, a lot of that is still temp. It hasn't been color timed for all the, tech heads in the audience. But I got moved again watching it. I love this film. And so as a producer and someone who works and spends a lot of time on these projects, to watch it with an audience is really the satisfaction for me, and I haven't done that in a while, so thank you for letting me crash your crowd.
So you mentioned the cast. You have a tremendous cast, led by Philly's own Kevin Hart, in a role unlike anything he's ever done, and Bryan, who has to do almost everything from his face. And then you've got Nicole and everyone else in the film. How did that come together?
Well, in pieces, like most of these movies do. Kevin was brought to project at a time when Kevin's rise on the comedy scene is obviously, as you can see, through the roof, and nobody was really giving him a chance to act. He was out there performing, but not having any opportunities to act, and that was really important to him. So when he came onto the project, it was a little bit of a risk. There were other actors that probably, obviously, were top on that list. Bryan is also representing the same agency as Kevin. The agents kind of put that little package together, coming off of Breaking Bad at the time, and at the time when it was packaged, meanwhile, it had been packaged for probably a year and a half before we even started shooting in terms of Hollywood talk, right, in terms of how long these movies take. And in that time, when movies started to be a small little kind of fringe art house thing, because Kevin really couldn't prove that he could open up a big commercial film on the dramatic side, he started getting bigger and bigger, more attention started getting drawn. I went out and then realized that if we could find that right female lead, I had a relationship with Nicole on something else, and so we brought it to Nicole, not even knowing that it was, ostensibly on paper the third lead, but I don't think anyone could watch that and say that Nicole is the third lead of that movie. She's the heart of that film. She's the heart of that relationship, even when she's not on screen. When Nicole saw it was a chance to work opposite Bryan and Kevin, she said yes, because that's who she is. She just wants to find these performances, and I've never seen or heard anyone laugh as hard as I did for her for I think she was on the show for 4 weeks. She never stopped laughing. I mean, she had the best time out of anyone. So, and I think it shows on the film. I think it's a different side of Nicole. She's got a couple things coming out this year which show just how her range is just insane, but there's a little warmer side to her that you don't get to see usually with Nicole.
So this takes place in New York, and you shot some in New York, but you shot more.
Yeah, we shot, I think that was 4 or 5 days of establishing shots in New York. The New York shots, those were the establishing, but we shot here for 8, 9 weeks, maybe more, and took advantage of Philly for the city, which is awesome. This is my first time shooting a film here. I love it. As a producer, it's basically, have tax rebate, will travel. That's just the reality of how we make movies these days. My bed is in Los Angeles. My family is in Los Angeles. I am back in Philly, not obviously just to be with you, totally coincidentally, because while I was making this, I got an opportunity to meet Philly's own M. Night Shyamalan, and we are about to start a straight-to-series new TV show for Apple, which we start shooting in 3 weeks. So I'm back in Philly, and I loved it here. But being my first time here, you get a sense of the community and how hard it is to make these movies. But it was an amazing experience here, and I hope to be back in the future.
And you'll be here for a little while?
I'll be here for the next 3 months.
Excellent. So who's got some questions?
Yeah, I'll answer anything, whatever. Yeah.
All right, straight away, you first.
Yeah, I'm just wondering some of the challenges story-wise of taking the great French film, taking this one story-wise and trying to make it your own.
Right.
Particularly the decision to go with the main characters, kind of love story with the Nicole Kidman character, because the French one is different. So can you talk about those differences?
Yeah. So obviously.
I'll repeat that. That was just about the challenges of taking a story that's already established, like the French version, and making it your own.
Right. So we've had some experience as a company. We've made a lot of based on true stories, and that's very vague, and it can be as vague as you need it to be. But quite frankly, it's not a documentary, right? So we know we're not following true life. So when we look at the original film, we have to actually look at the original source material of the original film. So the original film is a French adaptation of the original Philippe Lacosse's character the real guy in real life, wrote his own memoir. From that memoir, they made that movie. And it was obviously an account of that life, his life, through his eyes kind of point of view. After that movie came out, the caretaker, Abdul, wrote his story as a book. Not discrediting anything, just saying, and this was my POV into the same story, kind of taking, that. So when we then looked at the opportunity to remake and tell a new version of this true story, we had a little bit more source information from Abdul's side of it, right? So now we're using more than just the original source material, we're kind of culling from that. But at the same time, we're trying to make a story that also entertains, because it's not a documentary, and I'm not saying it's all 100% true, but the basis of all that relationship and that truth is there. We wanted to find a different side of the story that wasn't told originally, and that love story we felt had a place here, and a way to kind of give this story of these two men, right? We call it, it's a love story, right, on a lot of levels. I was most attracted to the love story between these two broken men who find each other and make each other whole. I think that's very powerful. I respond to that. But I know that there's others that respond to the love story of a man and a woman who are lost at sometimes and find each other. So there's a lot of those opportunities, and quite frankly, we don't get a lot of opportunities to make love stories anymore. And so I'm going to take every chance I get to try to find ways to tell stories like that move people emotionally, when obviously it's getting harder to do so just on the big screen. So I hope that kind of answers. Yeah.
Was the row house in Mount Airy?
Was the row house in Mount Airy, is the question.
God, I wish I knew the answer. I don't. I'm sorry. I
think
sorry.
it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Watching Dell's character, Kevin's character, I was looking at it feeling like you based it a lot on his openness of his life.
Yeah, that's Kevin being Kevin. That's not Kevin being Dell. That's,
Right. So, how much of it, did Kevin have a lot of grit to get into this character? Of, hey, my family had this.
Well, obviously he's from here. He's got deep roots here, and he is living a very different life today than he did growing up. And if you guys know those kinds of stories, and he's very open about that. The coincidence of being where he started from and where he understood those roots was purely coincidental. But I think Kevin fed off of that. And I know that in past, because of I know a lot of the people that he works on movies with, he has his entourage, he's got all his people, it's a whole different experience. This was something where he stripped down everything. He stripped down his look, he stripped down everything to put on an acting performance like he's never done before. So I've seen everything Kevin's done, and if you have seen him, he's never done anything like that. And I think he surprised himself, and so he didn't overthink it. He went to a place where I think it was really real for him. I think all those moments, he's never been in jail, but obviously, and he's never been, certain elements of this character, but he knows this character and tapped into it. And it was also an opportunity because Bryan really went toe-to-toe with him. Bryan didn't ease up on him. Bryan was amazing. And boy, you gotta understand, I thought it would be the easiest gig ever. Bryan gets to sit in this chair all day, and I was so wrong. I had no idea how hard it is for an actor to perform just with his face and watch that every day. He could not move, and he did not move. So when we cut and we went to lunch, he stayed in the chair. I mean, he owned that role. And when Kevin saw Bryan owning that role, Kevin had to own it himself. And so these two guys went kind of toe to toe, and it was amazing watching them kind of find those characters in that relationship.
Now, I know Kevin couldn't be at the premiere in Toronto, and Bryan carried his face around. Has he seen the film yet?
Yeah, both guys have seen it, and Nicole saw it in Toronto. Nicole was there too. Yeah, they haven't seen it in a while. This movie's been done for a little while. We've had some problems in post, not about the movie, just within the distribution models of what's happening here. But so we haven't seen it in a while. Like I said, we're still now, we have a release date. The movie will be opening January 11th. January 11th. So I say to all my friends that get to see it for free, pay it forward and send somebody, a friend or a loved one to the theater. But yes, January 11th is when we will open worldwide. And so we'll have a couple more screenings, we'll do some more cuts. Like I said, our director Neil Berger, who's in New York shooting an actual TV show right now, is in the editing room again on this Friday, fixing some stuff. And we're still, like I said, it's still a work in progress, it's still wet as we say, but it's getting there.